Aquatics and Fitness Center. The site of this duel set to begin right on target here, just past the 7 o'clock hour, and we begin with the 125-pound weight class, the highly regarded Robinson against Virginia's Rossi, as they will begin things here. And what a tremendous start this should be. Again, a very highly regarded NC State squad coming in. You know what they've been in the ACC, something we'll document as we work our way through this one. And for the Virginia Cavaliers, an opportunity in front of them if they can find a way to battle through the middle stages here and make it a very interesting contest against a rival from down the way on Tobacco Road. This is an NC State team coming off of a memorable, and it's something else we'll discuss, contest against Oklahoma State. You know the thick connections there from a coaching staff, former wrestler standpoint, and what that meant to this program and what it meant to the overall sport with that highly regarded collision just behind this group from NC State. Strong start here, as you can see, as these two get us going in the 125-pound classification. A lot of action to begin things as Robinson now works his way topside after the takedown that has given him the early 3-1 advantage now. And it grows pretty quickly in the beginning stages of this. You think about a guy who in many ways, having burst onto the scene in this sport and is beginning to make major headlines, and has to be something for NC State to be able to send him out first as a tone-setting moment for the Wolfpack in this one. There's a lot of matches to keep an eye on in this one, all culminating in Trumbull and Christensen when all is said and done in this one. But we begin lining it up at 125 and working our way through on this Friday night. Virginia enters, you know the highly regarded nature of NC State's program in recent years and years past. Virginia entering with 5 ranked in the latest Intermat rankings. See just how many of those who's you are going to see in action tonight. Coming off a 9th place finish as a unit in the Southern Scuffle, which began the new year. But as I mentioned, this is how ACC play gets started. This is a group that gathered up 71.5 points and a single champion and 3 other place winners at that event, the Southern Scuffle, not too far in the distant past. Rossi, who's getting things started, finding himself in a tough spot, guy for Virginia, who really is working his way into this type of action. True freshman, couple of tournaments, that's it. This is his first duel after finishing 5th in his own right at the Southeast Open. He's had some success along the way, but now facing ACC competition. Moments like this, the reason you come, the reason you work your way to one of these ACC programs, so you can line it up against the best. And Robinson has proven to be just that thus far. Through the first period, finding himself out front by a count of 12-3 with a very strong start. Think about Robinson, he had the couple of quick takedowns, adding a pair more to it. Most recent coming 234 in. And he finds himself in a commanding situation right here. It's an unranked versus number 3. Guy getting, as we said, his introduction into this duel type scenario. And one hitting his stride on the NC State side of things to this point. Of course, Robinson out of Chicago, Illinois. Sport management major there in Raleigh. Redshirted in his freshman campaign. a year ago and using this season to really introduce himself to the wrestling world. This match an indicator of what has been seen from him in the early stages of what should be a fabulous career. 16-4 advantage having been built here. As we go inside the final minute of this second period. You can see the lead continuing to climb, how things built, and just what you would expect from a guy wearing that number 3 beside his name coming in here to get things started in the right way for the Wolfpack of NC State. So just the beginning you would expect out of a team ranked in the top 10 nationally. And after a 24 mark, the very early advantage to Robinson and the Wolfpack after the defeat of Rossi. Bout number 2 takes us into the 133-pound classification. Homan and Porter lined up against one another. It's going to be Homan or O'Reilly here, who saw extensive work in that battle with Oklahoma State. No doubt Gable Porter for Virginia, the unquestioned opportunity in this stage. And though these two are very active through the first portion, nothing having been notched just yet. Of course, Virginia sending Porter out there. Guy who we mentioned that Southern scuffle. Had a fairly nice showing, but ended up a little shaken up, a little injured. On a UVA roster that has been battling through injury on so many fronts. He was injured at the Sheraton and defaulted out back at the Southern scuffle, the second year. Who's locked into a scoreless start with Troy Homan. Minute remaining in the opening period between these two. First matchup, a win for Robinson over Rossi. 20-4, coming at the 4:12 mark to set the tone for the 6th ranked Wolfpack. On deck after this one, Tracy and Cedeno in the 141-pound classification. Getting interesting in the final 22 seconds or so of this opening stanza. As Porter works on Homan. A late 3 and 8 seconds with which to work after the takedown was scored by Homan. See if he can do anything with the closing seconds of this opening round. Quick turn. But the horn sounds, and that takedown will be all in the opening stanza. 3-0 the advantage for Homan over Porter after 1. See if he can carry that over into a successful second period of action. Bottom position selected for Porter, and he notches one quick one. Turning it to 3-1. Mentioned the location in the Aquatics and Fitness Center on grounds here at UVA. Renovations being announced to Mim Gym. So a change of venue as they work their way toward ACC competition. But as you can tell, as you can hear, still a lively crowd in the newly selected building as these two get underway with just the second match of our evening. Of the NC State advantages when you talk about not only the horses the Wolfpack bring to the table, but you add in addition to that, alongside that highly regarded ranking nationally, the fact that one ACC meet already under the belt of the Wolfpack, whereas Virginia is beginning that tonight. And this is a team, you talk about their history, looking for a 789th win in the history of the program. Over 250 of them coming in Coach Papalezio's outstanding career. He's looking for his 173rd victory at NC State tonight. And 41 of those would have come against the Cavaliers if things go according to script for NC State in this one. A 73rd all-time meeting, if you're wondering about it. A series that NC State leads by 9 victories over Virginia all time. 19 seconds remaining. Things holding steady for a bit here. Very active, but at 3-1 as it has been after the takedown that Homan secured and the escape of Porter, which came at 1:53. Seconds left to tick away and working downward. Homan with that slight advantage creeping up by a single digit, and he reestablishes the 3-point separation. Well, what a closing moment this has the potential to be. Inside the minute and a half. The longest time at 3-1. This is the high water mark in terms of advantage for the Wolfpack, but prime positioning having been secured by Porter. He's got 1:07 to work with now as they separate. Talk about the ACC for just a moment. NC State, obviously the highest ranked squad at number 6. Virginia Tech 11th, Pitt 16th, and Stanford 17th, North Carolina at 19th. 7 total teams that participate in the sport in the ACC, and those 5 ranked as such. While they work on Porter just a bit, everything worth recapping for you. A escape by Porter at 1:53. After the initial takedown from Homan, he had an escape of his own more recently to set the count at 4-1. But now it appears, with Porter up to his feet, this is much about the communication of what's to come here. Everything resets at 107. And it's going to be Gable Porter. A sophomore out of the state of Iowa, Council Bluffs to be specific. And he sees Holman continue to inch ahead here inside now the final minute. You heard the reaction of the building as wanted perhaps a little more there. He's instead staying at 5-1 with 36 ticks remaining. Porter, a 3-time state champion, 4-time finalist, World Team Trials finalist in his high school career. He was 10-5 and 2-1 in dual action a season ago. A couple of pins, 2 tech falls, and 2 major decisions. To go 6-1 in matches that were decided by bonus points when you glance back at a season ago. He sees to it that things hold steady, but that advantage that Holman had built at 5-1 holds as a true start for the NC State Wolfpack. So Robinson a victor over Rossi. Holman taking care of business against Porter by decision at 5-1. You couple that with the tech fall, and it's an 8-0 start for 6th-ranked NC State. As the 141-pound classification is on the clock, Tracy and Cedeno dueling it out. Tracy in at the 3rd slot on the docket for the Virginia Cavaliers in this one. Here's the opponent for Cedeno. Cedeno, Kyron Butler, the 2 names mentioned in this particular moment and classification. It's Cedeno who gets the nod here. Talk about injuries, a guy who had surgery in the offseason and focused to a large degree on the rehabbing efforts until he saw his first action at the Southern Scuffle. And ends up winning the thing. Couple of big names he took down, nationally ranked opponents to get the job done. And earned ACC Wrestler of the Week honors as a result of his efforts there. His hands full with Tracy in this one. As these two looking for someone to take an early advantage. If you're just joining us, it was Robinson over Rossi by tech fall, and then Holman by decision, 5-1 over Porter. NC State a perfect 2 for 2 to this juncture, winning the 125 and 133-pound classifications. Early advantage still up for grabs at 141. As you can tell, a great deal of energy in the newly selected facility tonight, and you'll hear him now. Takedown running it to 3, the advantage for Cedeno. First real moment for the Virginia fans to cheer from ahead in this match thus far. Cedeno, of course, the 5th year out of Fair Lawn, New Jersey. After what to this point had been 25-5 split in overall points for NC State prior to his 3-0 advantage. Cedeno really giving Virginia some life. Here's the horn as that stays in effect. Cedeno coming off a year in which he was 12-4. At 157, no less. 4-1 in dual action last time around, as he gets that opportunity again against one of the high-powered and high-profile teams in the country. Mentioned NC State against third-ranked Oklahoma State in that top 5 showdown. Wolfpack in that battle of unbeatens fell 34-3 at the alma mater of the highly regarded legendary head man. It was the first loss in a dual meet since the Oklahoma State loss a full year prior. For whatever reason, the Cowboys having the number of a Wolfpack team, now coming in here 7-1. Lost 9 of 10 matches. You don't see that every day. Coaching staff talking about how much work there was for this team to do, but how the experience they gained that evening so valuable. And it started promising, much like what you saw here tonight. Number 11 at the time, redshirt freshman Vince Robinson, with an upset victory over Spratley. One of the great rising stars in the sport, getting the job done, but from there, the rest trended Cowboys, looking for a bounce back here as they go to work against UVA, and so far, so good. Although this is the first match where Virginia has worked into the depths of things with an advantage of any type, thanks to Cedeno's early takedown. Coming 37-second mark, and remains the only scoring in this one. As the horn sounds again, another period in the books, and Cedeno continuing to hold that advantage. 6-1 in 21, an NCAA qualifier. His first appearance in 22. The season that ended in 23 was 10-9, and we talked about 12-4 a year ago. The high school All-American and national champion who's brought his talents to Charlottesville. Inches a little further ahead at 4-0 now. Takedown and escape, helping him build a 4-0 lead as he looks to claim what would be Virginia's first match of the duel. Stop momentarily with just a minute and change left. You can hear the coaching staff, the Virginia faithful and pouring Cedeno to hang on just a little longer. Leave it to the 5th year to provide the leadership Virginia was looking for in answer to the quick victories from Robinson and Homan. Half-minute remaining, and that's a 7-0 lead now. And Cedeno works his way toward the finish line with gusto. Remember, you talk about the match wins. Had a couple of the 25-5 split we talked about in overall impact, and now that changes here, giving them something to celebrate on the UVA side. Dylan Cedeno fires him up as he takes care of things against Tracy. Win by decision for UVA at 8-0. Following the Tech fall and victory by decision from Robinson and Homan to set the tone for the night for NC State. Now it's Huskins against Jeffrey here, who looks to try to carry that momentum forward a bit. That was 4th in his last outing for men open. Another of those that, due to injury, hasn't seen a great deal of action. Perhaps could have finished higher at the FMN, but ended up 4th after having to pull out of the semifinals due to being a little banged up in the action. Facing number 13 in the country. Certainly attention grabbing. Sparring here to fill one another out in the beginning stages. Minnesota native in his redshirt freshman campaign represents the Wolfpack here. Guy who competed at 141 in the beginning stages, wrestling in 4 dual matches, including against Duke in ACC competition. Ultimately red-shirting, 3-time state champion in the prep ranks for this Wolfpack squad. It's a team that was ranked in rankings. But worked their way back down to the 6th spot after that Oklahoma State battle we talked so much about. When you think 9 of the 10 weight classes have a ranked wrestler, that statistic alone speaks to the strength of this NC State program. Defending ACC champs, 6 straight seasons. Second wrestling program to hold at least 6 consecutive ACC trophies. The other foe Virginia is very familiar with in all sports, Maryland, one-time conference member. 21 total conference championships, the most among all teams still in the league. Well, some action between these two, but at the initial horn, nothing on the board at 149. Jeffrey from the top. Having already in this one, if you're just finding us, seen the ACC Wrestler of the Week as selected on January 14th. Vince Robinson win by tech fall. 20-4 over Rossi to begin it. Just able to slide away there. A 1-0 mark with just under 90 seconds to go here in the second. It was Homan over Porter, 5-1 decision, and then Cedeno getting Virginia's first victory over Tracy. That was an 8-0 decision. Talk about highlights. When he hit the heavyweight ranks, Trumbull, Christensen slated to go. Trumbull the other, which is circled on the NC State side of things. We said it, in every weight class, some type of impact from a ranking standpoint, it seems. But a guy second in the heavyweight bracket at the Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational will be on display to cap things off on this night. Much to look forward to between these two ACC opponents. Virginia's first taste of conference action with this Friday night duel in January. Happy to have you with us on the ACC Network. Entertaining to this point, and certainly Cavaliers looking to build upon what just took place with the experienced Cedeno giving them a lift. Two in the books between these two, and a couple of stanzas down, just the single point. On the Buskins' escape some time ago. Critical, you would think, if Virginia's going to have a path to make things tight down the stretch here. They need to string some things together in this stretch. To that end, able to equalize as we close in on just a minute and a half remaining between these two. This is as competitive a battle as we have seen, as it goes into the depths of the third, one apiece. Northwestern's looking for that one moment. It could change this duel at 149. One minute. Things change inside the final minute, and they trend NC State once more. What an effort. Trying for fall there instead. Cavalier able to slide away. But a 4-2 advantage now, still very much in effect inside a half minute remaining. Matchup that was even at 1 apiece heading into this third. You see the intensity with which the Virginia attack now ensues, knowing what must happen in these final 5 seconds to flip the script. Instead, it's going to be a third match win in the first 4 for NC State as the Wolfpack claims 149. One twin gives way to another. Michael Geoffrey now on the mat for UVA. Talk about these two and how different they are personality-wise, though they both bring so much to the table in this sport. Geoffrey family. And Scott at 157. For NC State, as Michael Geoffrey and Ed Scott fill one another out in the beginning stages. The word used by those around the program and talking about Michael is steady. Another of the many working back from injuries. Does have some big wins under his belt in his career. Looking for that ranked one this year. Only a single ranked opponent to this point. You talk about twins and you think about the similarities, but the discussion about how different they are in many ways in their approach. One very meticulous, one a little more emotion driven, but both of them finding different ways to not only challenge one another, but also get the job done in a way that matches their own personality. You hear the challenge to initiate coming from the side there as it stays scoreless with 1:15 and downward to go. Second of the twins out of the Golden State on the mat for UVA. Geoffrey capturing 9 of them a year ago. 4 tech falls. The 1-2 in ACC competition last season. Quick 3-0 for Scott. Scott trying to see to it that the Cedeno win the lone aberration through the first 5 as things have gone well otherwise for NC State. Pennsylvania, from whence the senior for NC State hails. 2-time ACC champ, 3-time NCAA qualifier. The All-American finding himself out front 3-1 as the initial horn sounds. Scott selecting bottom position here. Talk about Scott, who can forget his 2023-2024 campaign. Closed the season 23-7. In dual action was 12-4. 14 bonus point wins. And just how many of them were ranked wins during the regular season? 8 times. He ended up with ranked victories. I mentioned that Cliff Keen Invitational a bit earlier. He placed third there in 2023. Going 7-1 in that tournament. Just one of the many highlights of his tremendous career. Started at 149 as a true freshman. Wrestling 157 tonight for the Wolfpack. And out to a commanding 7-1 advantage. A couple of takedowns and an escape, and he is limited Geoffrey to just the single escape at the 27-second mark at this point. Sport management major in Scott, and he has managed this one very nicely. Missed it when we talked about it just a little bit ago related to this Wolfpack team. The balanced nature of NC State's attack when you start at 125 and work your way all the way to heavyweight really catches your attention. When you consider that 9 out of 10 weight classes, somebody finding their name in the top 10 in the Intermat rankings. In this case, it is Scott, and he finds himself at 7-2. Those two takedowns, the headliner in this match thus far. A little closer. Virginian in this case, the second of the twins, Michael Geoffrey. You know, Virginia entered with 5 wrestlers ranked in the latest Intermat rankings. Roller number 31, Gable Porter, who you saw, number 27. Cedeno, who got the job done for Virginia in this one, was at number 21 coming in. Michael's brother Jack at number 28, and the last to round out that group is Nick Hamilton, who sits at 16th overall. Interesting to see what happens. At 165, as he not received the call when you look at how things are lined up according to the game plan here. Stefanelli's name slated in there at the moment, but that group leading Virginia to the charge. A group always relishing a chance to go against a rival in NC State and a team that serves as a true barometer of where you are when you consider the way the Wolfpack has performed year after year. 20 seconds and downward it goes. 10-3 becomes 10-4, but still a major advantage for Scott, who has come into his own. As this match transpired. So a start that was somewhat, and certainly highly competitive, but somewhat back and forth between these two initially. A couple of big takedowns from Scott, and then he cruised. So what in the end communicates 10-4, and that's been the answer for NC State in terms of the expectations coming into this one. Robinson, a tech fall victory. Homan taking care of business against Porter. Busquets getting the job done just prior to Scott taking care of things, and NC State continues to inch ahead where it matters most as we turn our attention to that battle at 165. Mentioned Stefanelli on the Virginia side of things. Schaefer weighing in and occupying the mat in that classification for NC State. Well, check that. You get a glance at it now, and Fields actually has a little bit of separation, gives you a glance. Is the wrestler out there on the NC State side of things against Stefanelli. No score in the beginning stages here between Derek Fields and Mason Stefanelli. Well, this is that classification. We mentioned Hamilton. You think about Senko. Stefanelli getting the nod here. Guy who also is kind of wading his way into some dual action. Kind of working his way over from Honolulu. Goes around the program, tell you the Hawaiian with kind of that surfer personality. You have to take that roll with the punches approach in many ways. A guy who was a Hawaii state champion in his high school days. $11 victories against 3 losses when he worked his way on board in 22-23 as a freshman. 2 bonus point wins, a couple of pins in that year, and he placed in all 3 tournaments in which he wrestled. So promising start there. And receiving the nod head-to-head with Fields, and through 1 period going toe-to-toe with him. Nothing on the board in this struggle at 165. Working into it here in the second. And a point for Fields to get the scoring started. Derek Fields, a Brunswick, Ohio native in his junior season. Using the escape to put the first up on the board. One of those sport management majors, the NCAA qualifier from 2024. It was at this 165 classification for collegiate duels last December that he first worked his way into the Wolfpack lineup. A couple of big statement wins that marked his season. and solidified him in that role. Tech fall victory over Northern Iowa's Evan Yott, and a 4-1 decision against Ohio State's Wilcox, Isaac Wilcox, who was 21st at the time. Five 5-0, won the Patriot Open, placed third at his first edition of the ACC Championships, and was at large for NCAAs in Kansas City. Trying to follow up Robinson, Homan, Booskins, and Scott, who have all notched wins. The lone bright spot to this point for UVA in terms of match victories, Cedeno's at 141. This one tight, however. Go into the third, just the escape at 147 for Fields, the separation. Stefanelli holding his own here after getting the nod at 165 for UVA. More than holding his own. There's the equalizer as he works away. An escape apiece, leaving 145 here in the third to settle it. Fields had his 147 mark. Period two. Will he have a whole lot more here? Quick turn as it stays even. Well, and you see three fingers in the air as the separation is secured. Stefanelli had equalized with the escape, but a mid-third moment for Fields has him in command. Reset at 104. Singleton and Murphy slated on deck at 174. Take down the difference for Fields ahead of Stefanelli here at 165 at the moment. Just a bit closer. In position where one decisive third round moment could flip it now. And riding time as well. Things holding steady at 4-2. Inside 15. Will the single takedown be enough for Fields to make it 3 in a row for NC State? Wolfpack getting things started with victories for Robinson and Homan, and now 149, 157, and 165 going the way of the Wolfpack, as the 6th-ranked team in the country continues to take command in the duel here at UVA. That view gives you a sense of just how many have packed their way into the facility, not anticipated to be the host site for this one, but if you didn't hear it when we talked about it off the top, Mim Gym, the historic facility on grounds, undergoing renovations to keep its storybook history alive and prepare it for a future just as strong. Requiring a venue change, but as you can see, the crowd showing up very nicely here in the Needle County. up the programs. You get the rivalry involved. You get the ACC piece of it involved. And you have one of the premier programs in the country, ACC or otherwise, working in here on a night like this. It will draw a crowd on a Friday night. Interior renovations taking place at Mim Gym for those of you that weren't alerted prior to tuning in and realizing, hey, that looks like a less than familiar location. Closed up until the fall of 2026 as it was announced by Virginia officials on Friday. Utility upgrades, HVAC, new fire suppression systems, classroom renovations. Going to enhance both the educational and recreational use of the space. It should be something to see that building, just over 100 years old, built in 1924, known affectionately on grounds as Mim Gym, revitalized. So the Aquatic and Fitness Center, the new home until then for the Virginia wrestling program. Another early takedown advantage secured as Singleton notched it against Murphy. Final half minute of the opening period between these two. It's the Georgia native in command at 4-0 with one behind us. One behind us in the battle at 174. Guy who split time when he burst onto the scene. At 165. You look all the way back at that 22-23 season in which he was fourth at the ACC. With the two setbacks to the #1 and #2 seeds. Here he defeated Connor Brady of Virginia Tech, a top 25 win for him in the early stages. Four-time Georgia State champion, proving things were going to translate. Guy who once wrestled for the USA All-Stars and Pittsburgh Wrestling Classic. Picked up the bronze at the U20 Worlds in August of 2023. Just some of the highlights for Moreland, Georgia's Matty Singleton. Holds a 5-0 advantage. Most recent moment, an escape here in the second after he selected the bottom position. To go alongside the 4-0 advantage after one, starting with the takedown. Building it to 5-0 now. Of course, the sophomore out of New Jersey, Michael Murphy, representing UVA, guy coming off an 11-win campaign, even though dual action was a little tougher sledding. 0-2, looking for success in that category this time around. Finds himself down 5-0 with Singleton as advertised to this point. But this is a situation for Murphy where he has a chance in dual action to showcase his skills when you look across at the talent. At 174 for NC State. Singleton, who has the number 19 beside of his name in terms of rankings. We saw third-ranked Robinson get everything started, and talk about the highest of those coming in, expected to wrestle with a number beside their name. Fishbach, who boasts that 11 at 184. Currently on deck. And you talk about what's next up in terms of highly regarded prospects. Murphy able to put something on the board, but just as quickly Singleton slides away, creating some separation as he takes Murphy down once more. This has the potential to be, and we just compared notes on the rankings with Robinson, who started it all with the victory which came by tech fall. This has the potential to be similar separation. You know, it was a by decision victory for Cedeno, Virginia's only victory thus far against Tracy at 8-0. Take Scott's 11-4 win by decision. And the Robinson match we were just talking about, this one would to some degree go in that category, with Singleton's strength here in the third. He will make sure that things continue to trend NC State, as since the Cedeno win at 141 has restored its dominance in this duel by claiming the next 4 in succession. Well, NC State claiming all but one of these as we push toward 184, as where it counts into this 8th bout, a 20-3 overall advantage. Safe to say quite a bounce back for a Wolfpack squad looking to do so in their return to ACC competition. Fishbach and Gamble now. Fishbach, as we mentioned, has an 11 beside his name. And you glance back across his time, it grabs your attention. Now in his redshirt sophomore campaign out of Aurora, Ohio. NCAA qualifier a year ago. And it was right here in this classification that he has made his mark, already having done so on this bout by continuing to carry the momentum forward for the Wolfpack. Who can forget when you look at last year, that victory over Trey Munoz at the Cliff King. But you can look a little further back than that. 10 victories before redshirting his freshman year in that 22-23 campaign for the Ohio Division II state champion. When you talk perfection, that always grabs your attention. 39-0 in his senior campaign before introducing himself to the college ranks. He's up 3-0 here. And it quickly builds from 3-0 to 7-0 as Dylan Fishback, the 11th ranked designation coming into tonight, takes a 7-0 advantage. And the Ohio native looking for more as he will take Gamble to the extent on the far side above that Virginia logo, though it holds steady at 7. There's Griffin Gamble, the junior out of Key Northwest in the state of Iowa. Top 100 recruit, according to the big board from Flow Wrestling, coming out of his high school career. 3 pins, a tech fall, and a major decision in 8 victories. 4 open tournaments and 3 duels coming into this season. Talk a lot about last year and what was done by these individuals, because for Virginia tonight, the beginnings of ACC play, and in many ways the first real chance to make a mark in duels for a number of these individuals on the UVA roster. Just like that, 10-1. As it has been, in essence, all Fishback in this one. So for Gamble, who had been right there in a number of matches this year, just kind of looking to get over the hump with that finish, but a tough challenge tonight at 184 in Fishback. It's a 10-1 split. Well, turning your attention to what's ahead, 197. Apple Witherspoon, the 2 slated, and it all culminates in the heavyweights, Trumbull Christensen, in that highly regarded and long awaited 285 bout. A little something for him to cheer about as Gamble battles back a bit. From 10-1 to notch 5, but only to see Fishback inch a little closer. He has on the board now what sits beside his name from a ranking standpoint. When we talk about overall scoring, this ranks right up there. Robinson, who obviously the tone setter when you talk about the honors he's received coming in more ways than one, with his tech fall victory to begin the night. And beyond Robinson, Fishback now matching Scott's total in that win by decision of 11-4. As the next among the contributors in terms of straight points in a given match. Sixth-ranked NC State commanding 20-3 where it matters most, and in control 11-5 here late second. In the battle at 184 for Fishback. .11.5 where it sits through a couple. Told you off the top, worth reminding you and sharing with those who are finding us midstream here. Wolfpack looking for a 41st win all time. 40-31-1 the split between these two teams historically. And win 254-173 at NC State for the storied head coach of the Wolfpack. As this remarkable program closes in on 800 wins in program history. This would be 789. And a nice bounce back from what we discussed was a little difficulty in that top 5 battle with Oklahoma State in recent days. Still clearly head and shoulders in the ACC from a ranking standpoint as the only crew in the top. Paused at 115 with the split 12-5. This is a team that slid in, even if momentarily, to that top 5 ranking before the highly regarded showdown. And with what we saw right out of the gate tonight from two-time ACC Wrestler of the Week, Vince Robinson, won his return match after not competing for a month or so, and provided the lone bright spot in that top 5 matchup. He's been the headliner in this one so far. Though what you have seen from Fishback prior to now appeared as if it was going to be that type of sizable finish for the Wolfpack. How much credit do you give Gamble for battling all the way back to within 4, 33 ticks remaining? Griffin Gamble, a valiant resurgence. We talked about how this would provide him an early opportunity in ACC competition to make his mark. Yes, it's at 13-8 and time wearing thin, but a lot to speak to regarding his reaction and response here. The referees say not so much as the closing seconds wind down. The work done across the course of this one appears as if it's going to be more than enough for Fishback as he's on the verge of taking the crown at 184. He'll do so, 13-8. And he runs the string of consecutive successful bouts for NC State to 5 in a row since the Cedeno victory for UVA at 141. You add it all up, factor in that 14-8, where it ends up shaking out for Fishback. And again, Tech Fall victory for Robinson, perhaps more of a headliner. Well, immediate response from the crowd that you would expect after a quick surge out front. As 197 gets underway. We'll sort things out after a quick 3 for UVA. And a response to get on the board for NC State. It's going to give both wrestlers, after getting a chance to kind of fill one another out initially for just a few seconds, a chance to think through some strategy. And don't you love how with these stoppages as our referees take another look. Strategy sessions ensue with the coaching staffs using this very teachable ACC dual moment to talk specifically to their combatants at 197. Haven't given credit as yet to our officials, but plenty to say. Always that third group out there making such a difference when you consider what it takes to pull these duels off without a hitch, and why they are often overlooked, certainly highly regarded. Look at some of the overall numbers from this one as these two continue to tangle. Takedowns at 16-5, an NC State split. Virginia a plus 18, or plus 8 I should say, at 18-10 in escapes, but that speaks to the tenor and tone that NC State had set throughout. The one near fall, and total match points split at 68-34 for the 6th ranked Wolfpack. Just some of the overall numbers as we work through the penultimate bout of the evening. Trumbull Christensen to follow. Earl Jr. not getting the job done head to head here. 3-1, a highly competitive beginning thanks to the initial takedown for UVA's Burrell Jr. Sophomore out of the Empire State, wrestling at 197 for UVA. Burrell, a guy's had kind of an up and down scenario, but the resume's there. National prep champion, All-American high school, 2-time All-State player, Empire State. But as we've said so often about these wrestlers tonight, still wading his way in an understanding of and an embracing of dual action. We saw action in open tournament phase last year, but really solid summer. And in off-season tournaments of the national variety. And up here, 3-1. There have been those tournaments in which he has made a major splash along the way. And he certainly did so at the start of this, though he will see his opponent push back out front at 4-3 in the closing seconds of the period. One more note on Burrell. Third in the under-20 U.S. Open this summer. Into the World Team Trials, so you think about the potential that is certainly there. As he will assume bottom phase, down 4-3 here. 11 ticks remaining. Opening stanza. An escape evens it 4 apiece as the horn sounds. What a start at 197. Giving energy to the building here on the Heart of Grounds. But that view right there really shows you just how dialed in, from the youngest of fans to those longtime wrestling supporters who found their way to the change of venue on this night. Not Mim Gym. Exit Fitness Center, the site with the Mim Gym renovations now underway. But all the life you would expect in that historic building transferring over. And what is a 4-4 showdown at the moment with 92 seconds remaining in period number 2. Former New England champion, national prep champion. Stephen Burrell Jr. New Rochelle, New York, the home location for the sophomore. Puts together a good sequence there, but finds it at 4-4 and a reset at 1:23 to go. Well, this is competitive as we have seen when you talk about the two wrestlers trading things back and forth. One awarded to make it 5-4. Think about 4-2, Fields and Stefanelli. Think about 4-2. At 1:49, Bush is grabbing the victory. Even Cedeno's win for Virginia, that had some separation. As you can tell by the vocal nature of the fans, with 45 to go in the second, has been as entertaining a struggle as we have seen in tonight's ACC duel. Beyond at 6-4 with 17 remaining in the second. You know, should mention before we get into the heavyweight bout, just by way of a glance ahead. Now that ACC play is underway, a lot of key bouts, a lot of key duels, a lot of key matches coming up. Walk you through some of that as wade into the third of a match that is split 7-4. Things still trending in the direction they have the majority of the night for NC State. Wolfpack trying to make it 6 straight since the lone bout victory. Going to mention the upcoming Virginia schedule. They travel across the country to Stanford on the 26th, at Virginia Tech to close out the month on the final day of January. And it's Duke here in Charlottesville at North Carolina on Valentine's Day. That's the next section of the schedule here in the ACC. One and change remaining. It stays at 7-4. After an early advantage was secured with a quick takedown by Burrell Jr. It has been same story, next verse since, in terms of NC State glancing up and seeing an advantage on the scoreboard. By way of a recap for you before we head into the final chapter of the night, Robinson over Rossi, Tech fall to start it. Homan a victory, Cedeno the only Virginia win at 141 thus far. Huskins, Scott, Fields, Singleton, Fishback all getting the job done, and now at 197 closing in on the same result. Half minute. Separation still 3, but no real position right now for Burrell to change the outcome. Burrell Jr. again, a fast start, but running out of time here. 12 seconds to be specific remaining. .102, the other key number. As an escape, cuts it to 2. But it will hold steady as these two show sportsmanship with a quick handshake before the lift of the arm at 197, also NC State's direction. Think on this, 17 takedowns to 5. 53 neutral points to 15. And 74 total match points to 35 of them. Those numbers speaking to the overall number, which climbs just a bit further as the heavyweight gets underway. 26-3 as it's left up to Trumbull and Christensen. To leave them one final memory on the night. Gabe Christensen, a guy who missed nearly a couple of years with that knee injury for Virginia. Came over from Iowa's first year. Came here to wrestle, of course, for Olsen Twins, but think about what Steve Garland has meant, what he has been, who doesn't appreciate the opportunity, and he's brought his talents here. Talk about his personality, now jovial, enjoyable he is. Maybe a little bit of a different thinker, and that's said in a very positive way, that kind of an outside the box individual that can carry the banner for UVA in this most important of matches each time it rolls around. He's joked about track and field and throws he could create there, but certainly has focused his full attention on this sport. Virginia better for it. Had a great quote in one of the kind of personal pieces, asked to who would you have dinner with if you could get together with anybody, and told the UVA faithful and the sports information staff, maybe the first person who chose to skydive. I want to ask them, what were they thinking? Why'd they do it? Gives you a sense of just the fun-loving personality that he brings to the table. Hands full for him with Trumbull here, though. Trumbull, the other player, other wrestler we came in talking about. And he jumps out to a 3-0 advantage. by taking Christensen to the turf here on cue. Two individuals that we most discussed at the very start of this one tonight. The bookends. Robinson, who came in decorated entering the week. And Isaac Trumbull, who was second, as we told you, in the highly competitive heavyweight bracket at the Cliff King. The bottom position here as he carries that 3-0 advantage into the second. Looking to put the finishing touches, in many ways the cherry on top of what has been a tremendous performance on the road for NC State, and he is trying to finish it in style as he takes Christensen down to the deck. And Trumbull, with the same type of impact and force that we saw from Robinson, does in fact bookend things for NC State. The Springfield, Nebraska, as advertised, and everything you would expect him to be. So on this night, talk about an individual being as advertised. This NC State program was just that. The positives for Virginia and Steve Garland and company. They've worked their way into ACC play now, and certainly a takeaway from the single bout victory